So this is a tricky problem from the March 2018 school day test. We see that we're being tested on an exponential growth here. We know that f of t equals 540,000 times, and this is the interesting part, 19 divided by 21 raised to the 20 over t. So let's take a brief moment to go over how exponential growth works. We have, depending on how you learned it in school, p or a equals p, and that's times 1 plus or minus our rate of change raised to the t, right? So the initial amount, in this case p, is 540,000. That's how much fuel we have before takeoff. And then after launch, we see that as a function of time, the amount of fuel decreases, because it's being multiplied by a number that's less than 1, so that's going to get smaller and smaller, right? That would be 1 minus, in this case, 2 over 21. And then we're raising it to the t. So in this case, that means every 1/20th of a minute, it decreases by 2/21. So I know that's a lot going on, so let's work our way through the answers. The fraction of 540,000 gallons it had at its launch, not quite. At its launch, it just had 540,000, right? Remember, this represents that rate of change piece over here, 1 minus r. So the fraction it had 3 seconds after its launch. Okay, so we definitely are thinking in terms of after its launch. And this does end up being the correct answer. I will explain that. We'll get back to it. The fraction at 20 seconds after its launch, so fine, we'll keep that one. And then 1,200 seconds after its launch. So that doesn't really make sense here, but we'll go ahead and convert these all to minutes. Okay, so 1,200 seconds, if we divide that by 60, it's 20 minutes. And this, 20 seconds after its launch is going to be 1/3 of a minute. And this over here, 3 seconds after its launch, is 1/20th of a minute, which is what we wrote over here at the start. So if you plug in 1/20th of a minute into our equation in for t, right? So 54000 and 19 over 21 raised to the 20 times t. If t is 1/20, which is basically 3 seconds expressed as minutes, then that ends up being 1. And we end up multiplying, off by a comma here, we end up multiplying 540,000 by just 19 over 21, which means that's the fraction left after 3 seconds.